How are the basic rules of the game compared to the NFL? Is overtime the same as NFL? Do they have the same penalties and challenges?
Everything as much as possible is the rules that you would expect to find. So yeah, we go through all the NFL rules, the standard rules that most people are used to, wherever they are in the world. So they're the rules that we're working to. Yeah, exactly, same penalties. Every now and again I see a penalty that I've genuinely never heard of, and have to ask why that was a penalty. And it's some of them are quite strange. Sometimes it's a result of a bug, which is always quite interesting. But that's all been ironed out in the last couple of months. But it's been a nice learning experience with some of the more obscure penalties. And God bless our engineers and design team that have had to work with the massive rule book. It's been an interesting challenge. Overtime, yeah, plays out the same. Penalties, yeah, all the same. Interestingly, one of the funny things about the face mask penalty is that initially with tackling in the game, because we have a tackle behaviour rather than a tackle animation, the players would merrily drag people down to the ground with their face masks all the time and get called up for penalties. So we had to actually program a behaviour in to the defenders that they wouldn't grab people by the face mask. And obviously, when you're building a game that relies on motion captured animation, then you just don't capture that animation, or you do capture that animation and then roll a dice behind the scenes as to say whether that animation occurs or not. So all the penalties as you'd expect. Challenges, no, we haven't included challenges.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely. I think the physics of the game itself is probably. We can talk about euphoria and until the cows come home, but it's the physics of football. One of the important things to realise, I guess, in real life is that anything can happen. And so what we wanted to do the best we could is to recreate that kind of feeling of that anything can happen in the game, and that's where euphoria and the various other animation techniques that we use come into play. One example of that is something that when I was capturing for a recent trailer, something interesting happened where the QB totally underthrew a pass. I think, if I remember rightly, he was being hit at the time, managed to get the ball away, but the ball took a very low flight trajectory and actually skimmed off the top of someone's helmet. He was engaged in a block somewhere in the line. The guy put his hands up, but the ball bounced off the top of his helmet, which then, like a skimming stone across a pond, actually just bounced off, completely changed the trajectory of the ball. And one of the safeties, who was actually completely out of the play, from where the pass was originally going to, just happened to be in exactly the right place at the right time, reached out, picked off the ball that bounced off this poor guy's head, and ran it all the way back. And I think I probably spent about 15 minutes just looking at the play, just looking at the, just everything that had happened. It just really struck me as something interesting, and I knew I'd never see it again. So yeah, it was one of those interesting things. And in terms of the physics, we've really tried to put as much into the game that can recreate that kind of the kind of realism and the kind of wow, I really didn't think that would happen moments that you get in real life. We try to put that into the game.
How are the audibles? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just realised I missed out the second half of your question about, was it capturing, the difficulties of capturing American football? I think one of the guys that play this sport are unbelievable athletes, and I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. It's an incredible spectacle, and I don't think that. It's one of those things. You've got to go a long, long way to really, truly, 100% capture the energy and the dedication, the commitment, the power, and the explosiveness of these guys. And that's something that will come, and we'll continue to build on this. But we're pretty pretty happy with the way that the game runs, the game looks. But I think there's always those little nuances that you'd love to get into the game, but aren't necessarily easy to do so. But hey, there's always ways to move forward, as you've seen over the last 20 years.
What can you say about the amount of teams, leagues, players, stadiums, etc.?
The amount of everything. Okay, so we are shipping with around 60 different teams. They're all unique. Every single team has been created using the customization kit, and we can prove that because you can actually, when you go to create a team yourself, you can choose to create one from scratch, or you can edit an existing team. If you go in to edit one of those existing teams, you'll see exactly how all the logos and helmet logos and end zone logos were created. So there's no cheating gone in here. We wouldn't ask you guys to do anything that we weren't prepared to do ourselves. So we're shipping with 60 teams, but obviously the amount of teams is infinite and is only down to people's imagination and time and ability with the customization toolkit. In terms of leagues, I think we've covered leagues before. So we've got different types of leagues and in different numbers of teams playing in those leagues. And of course, you can create different leagues yourself by customizing teams and populating leagues with those customized teams. Players. God knows there's a lot of players, so we've got a lot of teams. So someone out there can do the maths. We have like full depth charts that people will be able to switch players around. So yeah, there's a lot of players. They're all individually named, obviously. They've all got their own attributes. And on the stadium side, we have 10 stadiums. So the stadiums, some of which are locked to begin with, and they're the prizes that you can find by winning the bowl games as part of the Road to BackBreaker mode. So all the stadiums, personally, stadiums are one of my favorite things about the game. I love the fact that you get to see the different stadiums that you're actually playing in, and you really feel like it's somewhere very, very different and very exciting. And the first time you enter, I'm excited for people getting the game on, a massive TV or something. We've got a big projector in the boardroom, and we'll sit and play the game on there. And it's pretty intense. It always reminds me of like the scene in Gladiator where they enter the Colosseum for the first time. And I like it every time we see it. So stadiums are one of my favourite bits of the game. If by franchise you mean in like the season mode, then yeah, absolutely. We fully expect people to create huge numbers of their own custom created teams and fill up a whole league with them. There's no reason why people can't do that. It's been designed specifically so that people can create any number of up to I think it's 32. There's slots for I think 32 custom teams. It may actually be 64. I'd have to check that. But we have a huge amount of teams that you can create, it saves to your profile, and then you can basically fill up a league till your heart's content. You can use existing teams or created teams, totally up to you.
How in-depth is the make your own team tool set?
Very, very in-depth. We really give you a real just sort of a skeleton to hang everything from. You'll see as soon as even if you